Check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow, these girls are looking pretty sad. They're a little dry, and they need to be transplanted. So here I'm just putting some soil in the bucket, and you can see that the soil itself is not really dry. It's a little bit wet. Now we're going to stick a planter cup in there just to give me an outline of where I'm going to replant this. Hey, welcome back to the show. My name is Richard. You guys know who I am. This is TFL Live, or the First Layer Live, and this is our Ask for Help. And welcome everybody. Let's say hi to a few people. We got Eric Anderson in the house. Naru is in the house. We got Legend and God Myth in the, or Legend God Myth in the house. Who else we got? David Sell, DeWitt 3D. We've got Non-Fam. NLTMW is in the house as well. Who else we got here? We got David, or pardon me, not David Sell. Who do we have? We have our good friend Dan Fuchs Brewster is in the house as well. We've got a lot of people here today. Max CJ is here as well. What this is going to do is just going to help the plant. And okay, I'm going to get to the questions. As you guys know, today I'm trying something really kind of new. Let me just get rid of that music so we can, there we go. Music's done. Out of the way. All right. Let's get our fancy little border on here. Why is my fancy little border not coming? Oh, I know why. My fancy little border's not coming up. There we go. There's my fancy little border. All right, so let's first and foremost get into some of the questions. But first I want to tell you about what's going on here. I'm kind of in a transition once again. How weird is that? I've realized that I have to redo the studio. I've been talking to Tim, my good friend DeWitt 3D, about how I should redo this. And I think I've kind of come up with a plan. And it's going to be different, but it will be better so that I can do unboxings, I can do a little bit more demonstrations and that sort of thing. So let's get to the first question. Hey, there's Smokin'. Okay, the first question came from Legend God Myth. He wants to know what 3D printer he should buy for around 200 pounds. And if I were going to say anything, or I was going to suggest any printer in that sort of price category, I would first look at a Creality Ender 3. First and foremost, that's the one I would look at. It is a good, solid starter printer. It's got a good price behind it. It's got good support behind it. There's communities, huge communities built up around it. So it's something that you can go ahead and feel confident in purchasing. And if you ever have any troubles, our group on Facebook, our group here on YouTube, and now today we're streaming to Twitch as well as to our Facebook group. So we're live in all three places today. So bear with me if there's a little bit of technical difficulties. I do apologize, but we are going to try and get through them as best that we can. All right, so we got that going. Unfortunately, right now, I can't bring up your chats on screen today because I'm still working on something to be able to bring in all of those chats from the different places that we're streaming today. So, Mark L. Baker, hello, sir. Welcome back to the show. So that's what I would suggest. I would suggest an Ender 3 for around 200 euros. I'm sure they're probably in and about that range. Let's go back here and see if I missed any questions. Non-Fam is now one of our moderators, so please be kind. Geraldine Ham, my wife, my lovely wife, is in the chat as well, so she's going to be monitoring the chat today just to make sure that, you know, there aren't any goofy chats going on. You know, oh, what's going on there? Hang on. There we go. Turn that off. We don't need that. Okay, we got a live chat going there. All right, let's just fix that up. So, well, we'll leave that go. All right. Anyway, sorry, I've got a lot of things going on today. I'm trying to do this all at the same time. StreamYard works. I'm actually using Restream. I don't use StreamYard. I know a lot of people do. I use Restream. I've used Restream for years off and on. Gary T, welcome back to the show. Welcome, 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 welcome. We got a lot of things going on this coming week. As you guys know, I've got a brand new video dropping on Wednesday comparing the new Simplify 3D version 5 to the latest version of Cure. And we're going to talk about the differences between the two and which one might be better for you as somebody who might be beginning, or even if you're an experienced user. We're going to be talking about that as well this Wednesday. So you guys want to make sure that you tune in for that. That's going to be a really good episode. Now I know there was another question here. Does the Ender come with a removable flex bed and bed leveling at 200 euros? I do not believe that it does. I believe that it comes with a flex bed, which is not a metal bed. It comes with their sort of build tack style bed, which is not bad. It works great. Max CJ asked if my CR10, if I'm having duct melting issues at the cooling out, because he just had to replace his with a printed duct. No, I have not had that issue. Not yet, anyway. And I've been running this since about May or June of last year, this CR10 V3. So I haven't had any problems that way. So I no, but if you got to print a new duct, listen, speaking on that, of hot ends and extruders and that sort of thing, I've got a new video that I'm working on in collaboration with another company. It's called Hero Me 7. The version 7 is out, and I'm going to be talking about how their modular system works. We're going to do a build. Then we're going to do another video where we actually put it onto an Ender 3 using the stock hot end on an Ender 3. And then we're going to interview the man who took this from its original concept through to where it is today. So we'll be talking to that gentleman in the very near future as well. Eric Anderson says the Pro does a little more. Yeah, it does do a little bit more. For what it does over and above everything else, I don't see it being a big issue, in all honesty. So to each his own, I suppose. I'm going to go into, just bear with me a bit here. I want to go into my studio, my back end on YouTube, and I just want to kind of see some of the analytics that are going on. I apologize. I should have been more prepared for this, but I was not. Here we are. We're live. We're going to go in. What are we doing here? Come on. Take me into the studio. There we go. There we go. All right. So this way I can see what's going on there. Hey, there's my good friend Jerry Knapp from DeWitt 3D. Or pardon me, from 3DHP. There's a couple of guys in here I want to really kind of put forward today, and one of them is Jerry Knapp. Jerry does a live stream every Saturday. It's kind of a round table of people in the hobby, and they talk about 3D printing, and they talk about 3D printers and technologies. I've been on it a little bit in the last little while, and I think it's great. I want you, Jerry, if you can, to go ahead and put a link to your channel in the chat. That way, people, if you have not checked it out yet, please go and check it out. I also want you to go and subscribe, if you have not yet, to DeWitt 3D Canada. That's my good friend Tim. Now, Tim has a channel where he does a lot of Voron builds. Currently, he's working with the Bamboo Lab P1P, but he does do a lot of stuff associated with Vorons and with rat rigs and those kinds of custom builds. Tim has come a long way or DeWitt 3D has come a long way since he got started in the hobby, and he's learned a lot of stuff. And yesterday we were over working on some of his social media stuff. So and working in his studio a little bit. So I'm hoping that we can have Tim here in the studio and do a show together. I'd like to actually have Jerry back on as well. Hey, there's Tim Postma. I met Jerry before on Twitch, he says. Yeah, Tim Postma, another good Canadian. He's new to our channel. Welcome him to our community. I do appreciate that. Non-fam, thank you for putting in that link to Jerry's channel. Also put a link into DeWitt 3D's channel if somebody could, please. Sheldon Grant, using a CraftBot 3, prints consistently lift in the front right of the build plate. I moved the print over to the left and rotated away from that spot. It printed perfectly. What causes this? Sheldon, part of what causes this is when you have a build plate and one corner is not quite the same as the rest. It might be a little lower, it might be a little higher. Typically it's a little lower. That's when you're going to start getting that separation. So I would go back through and I would just adjust the corners on your bed and just make sure they're all level. I've got a video that I did on leveling your bed manually. You can go and check that out. I'm going to be updating some of my oldest videos in the coming months, so make sure that you watch for that. And if you need any help with that, I'm certainly around, Sheldon. You can drop me an email at richard@thefirstlayer, and I'd be happy to, firstlayer.com, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it and help you through it. There's Shadell 3D. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Okay, so what have I got here? Let me just show this off real quick. I have got this thing right here. What is this? No, it's not some sort of new fancy well for digging oil. This is a camera jib, a mini camera jib, all 3D printed. I'm waiting for some screws so I can screw all this together. This is the center column that everything sort of sits on, and the jib, and you put your camera on there, and you can do a lot of different fancy camera moves. Something I've been wanting to do for a long time is have a camera jib here in the studio. It's great for B-roll. It'll be great for doing some live stream stuff. We'll be able to use it once we do a little bit of renovation here in the studio, or continue our renovation here in the studio. But this is the base of it, and I'll be getting to more about it in the very near future. But suffice it to say, this is all being printed out of Econofill PLA. So we have purple and we have the dark gray PLA from filaments.ca. Thank you to filaments.ca for supplying the filament for this project. Filaments.ca is your #1 source for filament in Canada. And yeah, I do work there. So, but what I want to point out here is that this particular unit, there's a couple of bearings that have to go on the top here. I'm just going to pull this one off real quick and show it to you. So there's a bearing that sits down inside here. And then when this center post goes down, it allows the center post to move freely on that bearing. And then you won't get any noise that will translate up through the center column into this piece right here. And then of course you have your ring that's going to hold that nice bearing in place. And then your center column just drops in there. So what I'm waiting on is some M6x40 bolts and some nuts so that I can connect all this together. This is not light. I'm going to tell you straight up that the infill on this is quite heavy. It's something I would never normally do. As you guys know, I usually recommend that you do no more than about 15-20% infill. Anything over that is a waste of plastic. But in this case, because it is something that's going to be holding a lot of weight, a camera doesn't seem like it weighs that much, but when you start to stretch it out, hold your camera, your DSLR camera, out on the end of your arm, and you'll know what I mean when I say that. It can be a bit of a pain when you're holding it out here for a long period of time, because over time you're going to start to get, you're going to start to get that tension in there, and it's going to start to drop. So what I would typically recommend is something like this. Buying a camera jib. I've looked online for camera jibs over the years, small ones that I could use here in the studio. I don't have a ton of room in here. I maybe got 13 feet across by about 21 or maybe 22 feet deep. So setting things up in here has to be done in a very specific way. And I've got to record things like B-roll and stuff when I'm doing that sort of thing. So I need some room to be able to do that. This is going to allow me to not have to have a big camera jib, which is very expensive. They range anywhere from about 300 to over thousands of dollars, depending on the jib that you want. There was a question here that I saw. What 3D printed bearing? No, I'm not actually 3D printing any of the bearings. And there are no threaded screw inserts that go into this. Everything is done right into the plastic. Like I said, the infill in this is right around 30%, 40% in a couple of pieces, but mostly 30%, and it's grid, so it's really, really tight and it's really strong. The walls on this are 3 walls thick, or 3 perimeters, depending on your situation. And screws direct or threaded insert. It's going to be screws directly into this. Most of the screws go through, so there's no need for threaded inserts. There's only a couple of places, like here on the bottom of the feet, that you're going to thread. You're going to thread right into the plastic. But that's not a place that it's going to be a real problem. This is your design, Richard? If not, whom's is it? Tim is asking. This is not my design. This was done by Mechanistic. You can find these files, I believe, on Cults 3D. So Cults 3D is where I found these files. I actually saw a couple of videos where guys have built this jib. And like I said, I've been looking for a jib like this for many, many years since I started doing this, because I wanted to do some much better videos and get some much better shots. So unfortunately, I just didn't have that ability. So let's have a look here. Yeah, okay. So I'm caught up. I think I'm caught up. If I missed a question, please, somebody ask me again. Exactly what I thought I was going to go pro. Okay, that's Tim. I have an Anycubic Photon Mono X now, but it did not print at all sometimes. What's the problem with your Mono X, Eric? I'm curious. If I missed it, I'm sorry. I don't have my wife monitoring the chat for me here in the studio anymore. She's actually upstairs at her desk, and she's just making sure that there's no bad language or, any of that silly nonsense. So yeah, other than that, I think that, I'm not going to use heated inserts in this. I'm not using 3D printed bearings. I am using bearings that are purchased. I could have used 3D printed bearings, but they make so much dang noise. Even if you do put grease and that sort of thing in them, they can be quite noisy. I'm going with what they recommend in the bill of materials. When you go, and you have to purchase these files. I don't normally purchase files too often because 95% of the stuff I'm looking for is usually free. But this was a special case. I did purchase these files as a Christmas present to myself, and now I'm 3D printing it. And you'll get to see this at our local Maker Faire in May 13th and 14th. We're having a Maker Faire here in Calgary. If you are in Canada or in the West and you'd like to come to our Maker Faire, please check it out at Maker Faire Calgary, and you can get all the information and ticket pricing and that kind of stuff there. So wanted to mention that. Any more questions? Like, everybody kind of went silent right away. Did I fall off the face of the earth? No, everybody's still here. Yeah, everybody's still here. I'm just double checking stuff. Sorry if I seem a little distracted, but all right. So there's no call-in number today, but if you are new here and you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you're going to get notified. And if you ding that little bell, you'll get notified when we do live streams or when we do put up another video. One of the things that I'm trying to do, and I'm going to ask you guys for your advice on this. One of the things I'm trying to do is give little tips and tricks every week. And I'm trying to do that through shorts. I'm actually putting together a list of things that don't take me more than about 15 to 60 seconds to do. So I can, I can have these little bits that come out on almost a daily basis, I guess. One of my goals this year is to really rebuild the channel. 2022, as we all know, was a real pain in the backside, and it did have its issues. There is a gentleman right there that should be, there we go. Sergio, our good friend Sergio. Welcome, Sergio, to the show. HVAC A to Z is, you guys will know him as HVAC A to Z. I'm like number 9. You're like number 9, Neuro. I'm not sure what number 9 is, but okay. Yeah, you'll notice that HVAC A to Z is a moderator as well. For some reason, the invites that I sent out to them didn't go out. There's our good friend Dominic Versetto. Are you going to review the Ender 5 S1? If I get an Ender 5 S1. This year, part of my mandate is to bring printers in that you've never seen on this channel before. And that was part of why we got a Lowell's bot in here, was so that, because I've never reviewed one of those. I've reviewed tons of Crealities. I would like to see the Ender 5 S1. I'd like to see what it does. Hopefully I can make a deal with them and they'll send me one out. I am working on trying to get a P1P here in the studio, as well as I am working towards doing another Voron. And the Voron that I want to do this time around is going to be step-by-step build vlog, and we'll do that on a live stream. And we'll keep the live streams as short as possible. We'll keep them to an hour, maybe 2. I don't like to go much longer than about an hour and a half, as you guys know, because I find that people can get bored pretty easily. And if you're just watching me build and I'm not explaining anything, it can get really boring really fast. Hello and Happy New Year's to you there, Kevin Jones. Well, Tim says he's thrilled to see more 3D printer reviews. 3D printer reviews are great, and DeWitt 3D can can kind of attest to this as well. When you're doing 3D printer reviews, there comes a point where that's all you end up doing. And I was doing reviews on filaments, I was doing reviews on printers there for a while, and I wasn't getting the educational information out to you guys like what this whole show was built on. This show was built on the fact that I wanted to share the troubles and tribulations that I went through and how I solved them so that you don't have to. You'll have basically a cheat sheet right through me. And that's what I want to get back to as well. Dominic Versetto says the new Snapmaker IDEX. That's another one that is on my list. Yeah, there's Tim Stockel. I hope I pronounced your last name right, Tim. Hello there. Welcome, welcome. 3DHP says that he's ordering a Bamboo Lab X1 Carbon Monday or Tuesday live stream and many videos to follow. I look forward to that. Absolutely. Are you familiar with the Two Trees SP5 Core XY 3D printer? I am familiar with it, Kevin. I have not got one. The only Two Trees printer that I have is the Bluer Plus. I really like that printer. I think it worked out really, really well. I'm hoping to see more from them in the very near future. So one of the things that I did this week, as some of you may notice, if you are a member over on our Facebook group, the First Layer on Facebook, you'll notice that everybody got invited or brought into a general chat. Now that general chat, the reason I created that general chat, and I know some people don't like them, they think that they're a pain in the butt, but you can turn off notifications. one of the things that, the reason that I did that is because I wanted to promote more conversation between our members. And I think that that was a good stepping stone to do that. It's an experiment. I'm going to see how it goes for a few more weeks. And if there's, just the same 5 people that are talking back and forth, we'll move those conversations back to the regular Facebook page group and go that route. But I think at the end of the day, I think it's a good way for our members to get to know each other. I've noticed a real lack in people posting over on our Facebook group, and that might be due to the fact that I didn't do a lot of that in 2022. I didn't keep up with it as well as I should, but there was many mitigating circumstances as to why I didn't. But now that I'm back, you see I'm posting just about every second day over there. I'm doing something. And I hope that you guys will follow my lead and post your projects, post your questions, post your successes, post your failures. I want to see them all. And we have a great community of people and a bunch of really good mentors over there that will help you with problems if I can't get to you directly. Tim is asking, do you think we will see finally some purchasable 5-axis printers for home users? No, I don't. And I will tell you why. The reason I don't think that we're going to see a bunch of 5-axis or even reasonably priced ones for the hobbyist market is because I think that right now a lot of hobbyists don't need to have that added complication to learning 3D printing. So I don't think it's quite there yet for the home market or for the hobbyist market like we all are here. It's still more of a professional thing, much like a 5-axis CNC. You don't see a lot of them in the hobbyist, and if you do see them, they're fairly small, but they're still fairly expensive. I really don't think that we're going to see one anytime soon. Maybe next year, 2024. Maybe into 2025 when it becomes something that we see people like myself doing, or we see people like Tim or Jerry doing, or any number of other 3D printing hobbyists that are on the market. Okay, Kevin Jones. Yeah, it does look like it's a good price. Yeah, their Core XY does look like it's a really good price. Dominic's asking for a possible topic, why bed leveling and filament drying aren't the solution to every problem. That is a great video topic. And I'm going to hold on to that because I think that is an amazing video topic. And I've talked about drying before, and I'm going to do a whole video on why you can over dry your stuff and why you shouldn't over dry your stuff. And why it may not be the solution to the problems that you're having. We're going to discuss all that in upcoming videos, and that's a great idea, Dominic. I do agree with that. Neuro is saying the most questions I get from new users suggest that they don't know how to tune a printer or tune filament. Tune for quality, tune for speed, simple stuff like temperature tower, simplify 3D. That's actually very true. I get those questions all the time as well. And I have videos on all of those topics. And like I said earlier in the show, I am going to be freshening up. Pardon me. Give me just 1 second here. I'm going to be freshening up all of those videos very, very soon. Some of the videos I've got planned is, again, why are we getting bad bed adhesion? I've talked about that before. It's one of my most popular videos actually on YouTube, but I think it needs an update. And I'll be updating some of those older videos that were done like 3-4 years ago, 5 years ago even. I'm going to freshen those up and bring them into the modern, because some things have changed. The way we do things have changed. Materials in terms of our bed adhesion, the types of materials that we use for our beds is changing again. So it's something that I think that is a really good idea. Over drying will lead to being too brittle. I agree, Kevin. I certainly agree. Eric Anderson, is Simplify 3D free? No, it is not. If you are a previous license holder to Simplify 3D, whether that be in version 3 or version 4, you can get a paid upgrade. The last I checked, it was $59, regular $69. I don't know if that has gone up yet. I hope that it hasn't, but there is an upgrade. Don't spend any money yet. I know I just did a review on Simplify 3D, but don't spend any money on that yet, because right now they also have brought up the price of buying it brand new. It used to be $150 US, now it's $200 US, and I don't believe, currently, this is my own opinion, but I don't believe that that $200 is worth the price of that software. 150 when I bought it was a hard pill to swallow, but it was very intuitive at the time. It was very easy. It had easy to use. It had things that no other slicer had. The supports were second to none. But now we've seen that trend transfer over to things like Prusa Slicer, Super Slicer, things like Cura. So all of these things are now available in the free slicers that are out on the market. They may do them a little differently. One of the things that I always tell people is start with something that is easy to use, something that you find easy to use. And I've recommended Cura so much in the past, over the last 3 years especially, because it's easy to get started with. You literally don't need to know anything. And if you watch any video I've done on Cura, and I'm going to do another in-depth one, or two of them, just to kind of explain how to use some of these more advanced features, which is something I haven't really gotten into, but I will do a video on how to use some of these more advanced features so that you guys can get the most out of this free software. Okay? Let's see here. Prusa Slicer, I'm seeing. You won't have to wait 4 years for an update with Prusa Slicer. What is the shelf life of Spool 3D Filament? The shelf life, depending on what filament it is, PETG, nylon, ASA, all of those types of high moisture content filaments, you know, things that grab moisture from the air, they're probably not going to last more than a year, maybe two after they're opened. But I've got PLA filaments here from 5 years ago that I still use. So that is Spool 3D filament. I don't use Spool 3D filament very much anymore. Actually, I don't use it at all anymore. I use pretty much exclusively filaments.ca filament. And I don't use any of the others like Matter 3D or anything like that. I just stick with filaments.ca because they have such a wide range of filaments available now that they manufacture in-house, which is very good for everybody, and they're Canadian made. And the only downside to it, and I hope I don't get fired for this, is that they do run out of stock really quickly because they have such popular brands. So sometimes you have to wait to get what you want. Eric Anderson is not good for a beginner like me. No, I would not spend the money, Eric, on Simplify 3D. I really would not. Mark Baker had filament for 5 years now and still prints fine. Ultimaker Cura is easy for me, Eric says. Yeah. Kevin Jones, what's the process for reusing desiccant packs? That is a very, very good question. Do I have one here on my desk? I thought I did. Oh, it's on my other desk. Desiccant packs, I've been experimenting with desiccant packs very recently. And when you take them out of the filament, one of the things I've always suggested is take that, put it into a Ziploc bag, get all the air out of there as much as you can, so it's not going to absorb any moisture from the air. If you happen to have a drawer that you've been chucking these things in, well, they're absorbing moisture from the air. So over a short period of time, they no longer become good. However, you can recharge them. And one of the experiments I've been doing, and I'm not ready to kind of put together the entire video on it, but one of the experiments that I've been doing is using my filament dryer from Ebos and putting some in there and drying them out for 4 to 5 hours at about 55, 60 degrees, and just leaving them in there for that to pull out that moisture and recharge those little beads a little bit. And so far, early results show that it's working. I haven't done any scientific tests where I'm weighing them, a brand new one to a used one, but I will be getting into that, and I'll put all that together in a video and show you guys how to recharge and hold on to those desk impacts. But if you take care of them, put them into a Ziploc bag when you get them. You should be fine, and they should last for quite some time. Does the Bamboo Lab printer work with Cura, I'm assuming, or do they have their own slicing software? RDAC 001, they do have their own slicer, and it is a very good slicer. DeWitt 3D can speak to that a little bit more than I can. Yeah, Kevin, it'll be wet if it's on your desk, that's for sure, because it's absorbing that moisture from the air. I love color changing desk tint. Lets you know when it needs to be redried. Yeah, that Neuro, that is absolutely true. Yeah, that is absolutely true. So what they're saying here, both DeWitt and Jerry over at 3DHP, he's saying that it's the bamboo slicer is built on Prusa, I believe, or it has Prusa profiles in it. Okay, that I did not know. It's important to turn off the microwave before the desk can catch fire. Yeah, I don't put them in the microwave. I'm just not that brave. I want to try stuff that I have down here, and I don't have a microwave up here. And I know if I wreck our microwave in the kitchen, my wife will definitely kill me. So if you have a deskant dryer or you have a dehydrator, you know, for making jerky or whatever you want to do with a dehydrator, a food dehydrator, you can put them in the food dehydrator at about 60 degrees C for, you know, 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours if you can. And just let them dry out in there. That'll certainly help as well. But if you have a filament dryer, you can put them in there as well, and that will help things really, really well. Okay, so 3DHP says at least that's what it seems in the video. Tim uses it, and I have not downloaded it yet. Yeah, DeWitt 3D uses the slicer. He says it is based on the Prusa slicer. So if you're familiar with Prusa slicer, you'll have no problem using the bamboo slicer at all. I was over at Tim's yesterday, and if you guys saw the little short that I put up, 1 minute, using the Let's Get Jiggy With It music, that was all filmed in Tim's studio on his P1P. And I got to tell you, man, having a look at that thing actually work, not on a video, but right in front of my eyes, that thing is amazingly fast. So I really, really want to get one here in the studio. Tim and I talked a little bit yesterday about what type of skins he should do on his and things like that. So I thought that was really cool. Okay, we are, geez, this almost feels like a short video today. Food dehydrator sounds like a great idea. Thanks, Richard. You're very welcome, Kevin. Yeah, you can put them in the food dehydrator. Yeah, it works. You can dry your filament in your food dehydrator. One thing about drying filament, and this is something that people have asked me quite a bit, and I've seen it working with filaments.ca. I've noticed that because I'm what they have termed as a product specialist, because I've used a lot of filaments in my time, people tend to over dry their filaments. They will leave them in there for 24 hours as they're constantly applying heat and air to them, and that is not conducive to having good quality filament and having it work in your 3D printer, because if it gets too brittle, it will break, and it'll break in the Bowden tube if nothing else. And then you can run into real problems. So Jerry's asking, when I went to Tim's, did I wear the doctor lab coat? No, I did not. This was kind of, why did I get this lab coat? I actually got this as part of my new 2023 look, I guess. Because I do a lot of tutorials and teaching people how to get through their 3D printing problems. And I thought, it might be a cool thing to add to my wardrobe. So I know it does need a logo somewhere here, or maybe some shield style logos of my branding on the shoulders. You know, it's just something I was kind of having a little bit of a hoot about, and it was inexpensive. I mean, it was like super cheap. So. And it fits. I'm a fat guy and it fits. Not when I'm sitting down, but when I'm standing up, I can close it. Okay, it's a good look. Thank you very much. Hi, I'm new here. How are you? Alexander Otto, I'm very well. How are you? Welcome to the live stream. If you have any 3D printing questions, I'm here to answer them for you. Get a stethoscope to go with it. I don't think a stethoscope would work, but I think, how about a pair of those goggles like they use in Ghostbusters? I think that would be cool. And your name. Oh, you want my name on here? Okay, that might be a good thing. I'll have to take this to Tim. He can take it to one of his embroidery guys. Miles Clayton, how are you doing? Miles, it's been a long time. I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Do It Canada, he says, yeah, he needs a 3D printing name tag. I do need a 3D printed name tag, and I should probably do one. I think I will do one here pretty soon, and maybe I'll just take it over to Tim, and he can send it off to one of his embroidery people, and they can put my name on it or something. I don't know. It's just a goofy thing I wanted to try this year, and I think when we redo the studio, I'm going to be standing a little bit more and less sitting in a chair like this. So it'll be a little bit easier to do. We have a t-shirt press and can do it. Yeah, I have a t-shirt. You're right. My wife says we have a t-shirt press. I can do it myself. I can do it myself. That's true. Sheldon Grant, he says, love the Facebook group chat. Great addition. Thank you very much, Sheldon. I do appreciate it. I hope that you guys are going to use it. One of the things that I think that people need to do in that chat is, I saw a lot of people's prints in there. I want you to take those prints. I want you to put them into the regular Facebook group so everybody can see them. I think that also helps to spark people's imaginations. It helps to get questions going, and it helps to get threads going. One of the things I want to keep is that community. That community is very important to me. Some people that are in this group maybe have been with me that as long as, no, maybe not. Well, Ben Brady has been around for a long time, but he's not here today. So, but he remembers when I was doing plastic model builds before I got into 3D printing, and he's been around and following my videos for a long time. So he knows some of the trials and tribulations I've gone through. Alexander Otto, he's asking, my Soval SV03 arrived 2 weeks ago, and I'm loving 3D printing. I'm thinking about turning a ANET A8 into a Core XY, but I don't know how or where to start. A lot of options. There are a ton of options. There are a ton of options. The best place I would go to, first and foremost, if you want to learn about making those types of big changes, is I would go over to Open Builds. Open Builds is a community that you can join. It doesn't cost you anything. They have everything from CNC machines to 3D printers to lasers, you name it. somebody is building something in there, and there's tons of designs. There's free downloads that you can get, and then you can take that information and just kind of decide exactly how you want to move forward. My recommendation for anybody who's got an ANET A8 is take it out back and shoot it. That's just my opinion. Those things have been around forever. They're not tanks in any way, shape, or form. They remind me very much of my very first printer, which was a Hicktop 3D P08. That thing was a big piece of junk, and I think the ANETs were slightly better at the time, but they haven't really aged well. So if you can, pull off what you can to use in your Core XY, but build a brand new frame for it. Don't use up any of that extrusion if you don't have to. But I would definitely strip as much of it off of it as you can. Upgrade the motherboard to something that's 32-bit. Get yourself a good hot end and set yourself up for success. When I decided to go back on Facebook, I'll definitely join your group. Kevin Jones, you're very well. We would love to have you over there. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, the ANET A8, not a big fan of that. Jess Corniching, who you guys have seen on the show back in the day, although she's still a member, she doesn't come on the show anymore, much like Brian doesn't come on the show anymore. But Jess and I talk all the time, and she just finally got rid of her ANET A8. She gave it away to somebody, actually. Yeah, the ANET was an acrylic nightmare. I agree. So was the Hicktop 3D P08. It was a nightmare. Power supply sketchy on the ANETs as well. There was a lot of issues with the ANETs catching fire back in the day as well. They were a real fire trap. The problem with them was that the thermal runaway wasn't engaged, and the firmware, the Marlin firmware that it was built on, was built very shoddy for those machines. Firmware has come a long way, and there's many people out there. Tim over at TH3D, he's done a lot of stuff developing firmware. The Marlin group has done a lot to advance their firmware. Now we have things like Clipper, and there's a bunch of other firmwares out there that will do a much better job than what we had back in the day. B-Roll, hello B-Roll, welcome. Dominic Versetto, I saw a review on the Flying Bear Reborn 2 earlier. Looks like a decent Core XY for around 600. I have seen the Flying Bear. Actually, they reached out to me, Flying Bear did, and we're negotiating to get one of their Core XYs in here right now. CG Design, how can I get PETG 2.0 layers to fuse? CG Design, if you're having problem getting your PETG layers to fuse to one another, two things may be going on. One, your part cooling is turned on without you knowing it. And two, you may not be printing hot enough if they're not fusing together. I find that on the machines that I have when I'm printing PETG, that I only run my fan at about maybe maximum 20%, and I don't let that kick in until about the 5th or 6th layer. Before that, it's no fan cooling whatsoever. PETG, pardon me, doesn't typically need to have any cooling at all. Depending on the manufacturer, I know with the stuff that I use from filaments.ca, a little bit of cooling goes a long way. But having that temperature up there at in that 235, 240 range is going to keep it liquid and sticky enough to stick to from layer to layer. I think that will work for you. We've gone through this. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. B-roll, thank you very much. Pair character flying on the side, raising his arm while saying, "How's it going? How's it going?" There we go. The product is defective. You are responsible for helping to solve or confirm defective products. I still am CG Design, and definitely if it is a problem with filaments.ca, first and foremost, you should get in touch with info@filaments.ca and let them know the problem. Coming to me directly, I can help you, but on the end of getting you a refund or getting you more material, unfortunately, I can't do that. I don't have that power. I'm here just to help you and try to get the best print that you can. Miles Clayton says, so I got a CR10S and wanted to get a new printer. Was thinking about a Prusa, but they're up there in price. Any other good options? Well, again, Miles, it's always going to depend on what you're willing to spend. What is your budget? The P1P is a great printer if you want to get something that's made in North America or from a North American distributor. Prusa now does have a North American distributor in the forms of solid, printed solid in the US. So Printed Solid was purchased by Prusa, and now that they have an American distributor, it's much easier to get parts. It's easier to send back for repair. You don't have to send it all the way back to the Czech Republic. Can you show some of the prints that you've made? The gargoyle behind you looks great. Yeah, I can actually. So this is the gargoyle that I printed not too long ago. This was printed in the Galaxy Black Econofill PLA from filaments.ca. I wanted to do something big with it because you can really see the flex in it up close. I don't know how well, let me just go to a secondary camera here and see how that works out. Let's go to this one. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to see the flex in that. If you can see the flex in that, but it printed really well. You can see a nice clean bottom that was printed on glass on the CR10. And the details came out really well. This model is a model that I found on, I believe, Thingiverse. And I really liked it. It was a thinking gargoyle. Yeah, I really liked it. What else have I done? Okay, so here is my squishy beaver. You can see I'm squishing him. I'm squishing him. This was done in, what is that brand? Ninja Tech. And this is the Cheetah TPU. Very nicely done. Like it nice and squishy. I did this with cross infill. So it does have some air in it and it's easy to do. Thank you very much for the super chat. B-roll super chat, thank you very much. Okay, thank you. Nice. Yeah, gotta love TPU. I love TPU. I'm having a lot of fun. Here's one from, you guys will see over on our Facebook group. I have a friend by the name of Gusang Kwan. He runs a company called Fab 365, and Gusang Kwan did this guy. This is a little Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet. This is a print-in-place foldable model. I love his stuff. He's got some amazing, amazing designs out there. Here's another one of the little beavers that I did. That's, I'm not even sure what company actually designed that, but they've got a whole series of toys that they've done. But as far as prints go here, I'm trying to get rid of a lot of my prints because I've got a show coming up and I only want a certain amount of prints to take with me. This is my robot, my Auto robot. And this is one that I built last year. You guys can go and check out those videos. I show you how to assemble it. All the parts are readily available. You can find them all online for very inexpensive. And this little guy is just an Arduino-based robot. I'm looking for somebody to take a version of me as a Funko Pop, so that we can start giving that STL away. So if we got any good designers in here that want to make me into a Funko Pop, I'm happy to let you do that. Can I name the 3D printed cam stand? This one here. This is called the Micro Jib. I'll just put that back up on screen. This is called the Micro Jib. And the Micro Jib is by Mechanistic, and you can find this over on Cults 3D, I do believe. Hey, there's Guy the Jedi. Welcome. A little bit late, but you're here. We'll be wrapping things up here pretty quick. Hey, tonight, Tim over at DeWitt 3D will be doing his live stream. So make sure that you go and check out his live stream tonight. Next Saturday, you want to check out Jerry over at 3DP or 3DHP. He'll be doing his roundtable as he does every week. A bunch of great guys sit in and they talk about 3D printing. They talk about things that are going on in the industry, which is really cool. Aaron Cox, welcome Aaron Cox. Your name is new here. He says, I have a CR10S and installed the BL Touch. Now it starts print at the forward left corner. How do I recenter my prints? That's going to be something that you'll have to do in the firmware itself, Aaron. If you send me a copy of the firmware you're using, I can actually make that change for you for no charge. I do ask that you guys use the super chat if you can. It does go a long way to helping out the channel. It's important to keep this channel. This is how I survive. Besides what I do for filaments.ca, this is another major source of income for me. So every super chat, every time that you put a like up, every time that you recommend my videos or my channel to somebody, it goes a long way to helping this channel and its monetization. So I do appreciate you all for that. And those members that are here with us today, I do appreciate you guys being members. Again, I'm going to be restructuring that. So it's going to be the same price for everybody. Just a simple, easy price, because I don't have a lot of time right now to get into more things like the Discord, which I need to get back from Brian. But that's a whole nother story. Dominic says, lately I've been having a problem with color not matching after a filament changes. Same manufacturer, color, thoughts. Dominic, the reason that happens is because it can be from different batch. Look at the batch numbers on the boxes. If they don't have batch numbers on the box, then there could be a real problem with what you're getting from the manufacturer. But I know that filaments.ca puts a batch number on, and they usually don't have any issues with color matching. Aaron Cox says, I'm on a boat right now, but I'll do so when I get back home. Well, don't drown. I hope your boat doesn't sink. I don't want to work you for free, so I'll definitely be willing to pay you. I appreciate that. DeWitt 3D, Shondell 3D, banned, LOL. Okay. Shondell 3D, I'm not sure what happened there. I'm sure I'll know. Any 3D printing stuff happening around Calgary, Miles is asking. Just the 3D printing club. I don't know if they're resuming doing meetings yet. They used to do them once a month. But, you know, things are still kind of calming down from pandemic. We'll see what happens. I know that coming up in May, if you're not aware of it, Miles, that there is going to be a maker fair again here in Calgary. I'll be there. DeWitt will be there. There'll be a number of different people there. And if you want to take part, you certainly can. Shadell 3D, just go up a few comments. Okay. Non-fam, Tim was kidding. Okay. Yeah, Tim, you can let people when you are going to be live tonight. That would be helpful. He says he'll be live at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, which is in 2 hours he will be live. He's going to be tuning the Voron Trident. So you guys maybe want to check that out. But it is 3 o'clock, and that's my time here for another Sunday. I'm going to see you guys again on Wednesday with a brand new episode comparing Simplify 3D to Cura. So make sure you check that out. Hit that like button. If you're not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. It does go a long way to helping me out. Make sure you ding the bell so you don't miss anything as new episodes and new shorts and new live streams come out. Hey, there's Jose's Ferreira. Sorry, we're wrapping things up, Jose. I do apologize. You came at the wrong time today. I'm going to try and schedule these things. Today was kind of an experiment to do it on Facebook and on Twitch. So we'll see how that all worked out. Next week, we may just do straight on to YouTube like we normally do. So right now, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you very much for joining me this afternoon. I do appreciate it. I'm going to go up and have a little bit of time with my wife and do my husbandly duties that I have to do around the house, take the garbage out, you know, that kind of thing. But until I see you guys next time, please remember that the first layer is always your foundation to a great print, and I will see you next week.